9-6. This year, they are very close to going 9-6-1. They might win 10-5-1. But that team is obviously on the decline. Do you really see Pete Carroll being there in 2 more years? Because do you see anybody in the NFL besides Bill Belichick pulling teams out of the slide? We both just spent an hour talking about how we think Sean Payton does in 2017. But we also know that it's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. So Pete Carroll, been there 7 years. He took a couple of years to rebuild the team, did well. Now he's starting to hit that decline that every team seems to hit. Andy Reid was the exact same thing in Philadelphia. Yeah, you might argue that he couldn't get a team over the hump, but how many NFL Super Bowl coaches or even coaching in the NFL? There's like 6 in the NFL that are head coaches that have won a Super Bowl. They're not very common. It's rare to win a Super Bowl. So Andy Reid was a prized possession when he became available. Pete Carroll will become a prized possession when he is near that available time. Heck, Rex Ryan is going to be a prized possession even though he's never won anything in his entire life. People simply recognize and see that Sean Payton's time is coming up. They don't know exactly when it is, but they know that there is a consistent precedent set in the NFL where coaches don't make it past a certain point. He hit that mark last year, and so everybody knows he's going to leave soon. We don't know when, so we're just going to start throwing his name out there and expecting it to happen. And they're right. It is going to happen. It is. We just don't know when. That doesn't mean that he's bad or worse than some other people. It just means he's run his line, just like all the others did before him.
Okay, so here's a better comparison. Because I've used a bunch of guys that you can definitely, say, well, he was here and then he wasn't. When I use Andy Reid. Okay, Andy Reid is a guy that was in Philly. He had a few bad years. He slipped off. He's gone. So, okay, using Andy Reid's name and asking why he was never mentioned, maybe that's the wrong name to use. Maybe it's wrong of me to use Pete Carroll. But here's a great comparison, and it's apples to apples on this situation. Mike McCarthy of the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Mike McCarthy has been with the Green Bay. He was hired the exact same year Sean Payton was hired. Both hired in 2006. Both have won Super Bowl. Both have a great offensive mind. So they're the exact same coach, except one name gets mentioned every single time a coaching candidacy comes open, and the other guy never gets mentioned at all.
Well, hold on with that now, because I'm not sure how much you pay attention to Green Bay, but earlier this year, McCarthy's job was on the line. 2013, when they went 8-7-1, his job was on the line, and they're talking about where's Mike McCarthy going?
To be fired.
But see, this year,
not linked to the head coaching candidacy. Nobody has ever said Mike McCarthy is in line for the Philadelphia Eagles job. Nobody ever does that. Ian Rappaport has never come out and said there are whispers that Mike McCarthy is closely monitoring what's going on with the New York Jets. It's not happening. His name does not get now. Maybe the Green Bay press and the Green Bay fans may say, you know what's going on with Mike McCarthy? He's 8-7-1. It may be time for him to go. Maybe they're bringing up that story. But the national media is not drumming up rumors of saying Mike McCarthy has been rumored to be interested in such a place. And even if 2-3 years ago that happened, it's not happening right now. Mike McCarthy and the Green Bay Packers, and Aaron Rodgers made the word relax famous. Famous. This year, it was, we're going to run the table. 2 consecutive years, Green Bay has been down in the dumps, yet Mike McCarthy's name is not being rumored among the guys who could be new head coaches somewhere else. My point for saying all of this entire argument, is not that Sean Payton is an elite. It's not that he isn't a great head coach. It's not that teams shouldn't want him. It's that before we dismiss a report saying that Sean Payton ain't going nowhere because he's your coach and you love him, and I'm not speaking on you exactly, Deuce. I'm saying before we dismiss those reports, you better start to scratch your head. Some of these reports, they aren't made up out of thin air. There's some back channels are going on.
I mean, I get what you're saying.
Dipping his toe into the pool to let everybody know I'm not gone. But maybe one day I might be, and if that's the case, who wants me?
Well, look, here's what I think on that. Because keep in mind, McCarthy, he's also got a 65% win percentage. He's done very well in that division up there. I'm not knocking him. And I think it is a good comparison that you brought it up. I think it all goes back to what I was saying before. Sean Payton is simply coming up on that mark where everybody knows he's about to become available. They just don't know when. And you're going in and out. So if you're saying something to me, brother, I got no idea what it is. You're scratching again. Yeah, wait for you to get your phone back up. And I'm not saying that there's nothing to the reports. I simply think that it's not necessarily as much the Saints front office that's getting these rumors leaked out as much as it is this is just an issue where people are playing the guessing game, and they're right. They just don't know when the heck it's going to actually happen.
And no question about that. I mean, it's definitely a guessing game. In fact, for my money, I would simply say I don't think Sean Payton goes anywhere for the next 2 to 3 years. That's just my money. I believe Drew Brees sticks around for another 3 years, and I think Sean Payton sticks around with him. Now, the final 2 years of that 5-year contract Sean signed, I don't think he ever sees it.
Look, here's why I think Sean Payton's different. And I know we've been comparing him to all these people, but let's keep in mind a lot of things have happened for Sean Payton to still be here that if he was another owner, for example, he wouldn't be. I mean, Tom Benson's health and the lawsuits and the family squabbles have helped Sean Payton have job security. The fact that he's best friends with the GM and the GM has no chance of going anywhere has helped his job security. You know, so where most coaches would go 7-9, 3 years in a row would be gone, Sean Payton was able to buy a couple of extra years to start his rebuild, and he's running the rebuild where usually, like when Jim Haslett had to start a rebuild, he's gone, and then Sean Payton inherits some good players like Deuce McAllister and Will Smith and, you know, Devery Henderson and stuff like that. He inherited a semi-built team that needed a couple of pieces. Sean Payton finished it off and then turned it into his team. Sean Payton's simply able to do that with his own team and carry forward because the situation he's in isn't exactly as stable as some of the others in terms of ownership and the front office. If anything, it's too stable. I mean, you put Sean Payton up in the Bills right now where that owner is not exactly old, or you put him in Jacksonville where the Sheik is not old at all, Sean Payton's probably gone after 3 7-9 seasons. But that's not the situation he's in. So I think that's another thing that has to be taken into account is there's a little bit specialness, if you want to call it that, to the New Orleans coaching situation because there's not many, I don't know of any other place in the NFL right now that matches the criteria for how he's been able to survive where he's at right now. And as I talked about earlier in the show, we have seen improvement. I really believe the Saints are going to finish the season 8-8. I mean, the point differential has improved a great deal this year. I mean, the rebuild has been happening, and it looks like it's working. So if he starts winning again, maybe he pulls a Belichick, becomes Belichick Jr., and stays with the team 15 years. I don't know. But if he goes 11-5 next year, or 10-6, or even 12-4, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. If he does that, then he's guaranteed 2 more years after that. If he hits 11, 12 wins, that's another 2 years. Sean Payton, he finishes out that 5-year contract. You can take that to the bank. I just think he was able to buy him some more time.
We've already discussed, and, you know, but if I had to place money on it, I would say, now, as far as what that means in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. But if I had to place money on it, I'd say the Saints will be a double-digit win team next season. Mm-hmm. That's just where I think it's going. I think the defense is on the right path as far as building. I think the offensive line is only, you know, a few moves away from being where it should be. And I think a big question along the offensive line, and I kind of want to get back into, you know, more personnel type stuff because we still haven't talked about Jerry Bird and the amazing game he's had. But
we need to.
Exactly. But, you know, as far as personnel is concerned, I think a big question is going to come about this offseason on what to do with Ron Armstead. Because you paid him left tackle money, but it seems as if Andres Peak could be better off at left tackle than left guard. And you definitely need a right tackle because Zach Streets has to be on his way out at this point. I'm wondering, is it a situation to where you try to play musical chairs once again with the O-line, or do you simply say, you know what, the left side of the O-line is set. Armstead, once healthy, is going to be our left tackle. Pete is going to be our left guard. Unger is the man in the middle. Now we just have to rebuild the right side, whether that be Landon Turner, you know, finally getting his chance to play right guard, or whether that's, a guy like Ron Leary being brought in or a different free agent being brought in, I have no idea. But, we have to keep in mind the Saints need to build both the right tackle and the right guard positions, and they have one off season to do it.
Yeah. Well, here, just to hit on Armstead quick, because I really want to get into Bird like we've been talking about. Armstead has got dead cap of $13 million next year and $6 million after that. And when he's healthy, he's definitely a better left tackle than Andres Pete. Now, we both agree that he should stay at left guard for the foreseeable future as well as he's done. But, I mean, I just have to bank on Armstead getting healthy. I just think it was an off year for him health-wise. But we've got him under contract till 2021, but he's got dead money till 2020. So it'll be interesting to see how they work that out. But to me, you got to do what you can to get Armstead healthy because he is the most the league won't see it because the Saints haven't been winning. But Teron Armstead is a Pro Bowl quality left tackle. He's that good. He just doesn't get noticed because he's on a bad team. I mean, so I really, really, really don't want to do anything that puts him out of that spot unless he's just to the point where he can't do it for health reasons.
I totally agree with you there. I think the left side of the O-line is solidified. Pete at guard, Armstead at tackle. You got Unger in the middle. That right side concerns me because I don't think you have a guy on the roster right now that can compete at right tackle. I don't think Pete should ever see the right side of the offensive line ever again, not even in the case of an injury. But I do understand that it's going to be extremely difficult unless Landon Turner is your guy moving forward at right guard. And he's been the guy he's the utility guy right now. A lot of the times when the Saints, announce that, such and such a guy is eligible, to kind of, to run these power plays, he's the guy that they're bringing in. So I would love to see what exactly happens with Landon Turner moving forward. But it wouldn't surprise me to see the Saints bring in a veteran free agent. But if you're going to do that, what do you do about your right tackle spot? Because Zach Strief can't be your right tackle of the future.
I mean, that's a tough one. And honestly, I don't know the answer because there's not a ton of right tackles available in free agency or the draft. I mean, there's a few names, certainly, but it all depends on how long they think Strief can ride it because Strief's done great this year. I mean, he really has. So I don't want to punish the guy by saying, okay, that's it, you're done, ended on a high note, because what if he has one more year? I'd be more worried about that right guard spot because Jari Evans has been – whereas Strief had one bad year, Evans had a couple bad years before becoming this year pretty serviceable. Not on his normal level, but he's been pretty serviceable. So I'm kind of up and down on that one. But ultimately, the right tackle, I just don't know. The right side's a huge question mark, and I have no answer for you there.
Oh, man. Well, here's another question you might not have an answer for. Who is number 31 and where the heck did he come from? Because that couldn't have been your favorite player and mine, Jairus Byrd, out there.
Well, I got to say this, and I've been hesitant to say it all year because it's Jairus Byrd. He's let us down before. But I think it's a combination of things you mentioned earlier. One, the system that DA has put him in where he's not 25 yards downfield has helped tremendously. Second, it's obvious he's healthy because his reaction speed and his timing and his hits are so much better than they were when we first got him after that big injury. I mean, we're talking a lot better. Now, I'm not saying he's playing all-pro, Pro Bowl level right now because he's not. He's not playing to his contract, but I also have been a proponent that the Saints overpaid him way too much. But I think he's finally healthy. And he was able to really show up and show out this past game. That's what you expected coming out of the Buffalo team. And I think that's what we can expect moving forward if he's healthy, and this is what we're going to see. Because keep this in your piggy bank. He's going to have played his first 16-game full season since 2012. That's awesome because when he did play full seasons, he did it 3 years in a row for Buffalo. So if he is finally healthy, it's like he said in his post-game interview, he's never doubted his ability. He's always known it's there, but it's execution because of his health. And he's finally getting to the point that he can do that for us. Now, if we can get and we've always